Welcome back, viewers. Let's put the spotlight on BCCI, and another controversy has now erupted over the extension of tenure for two people, part of the administration, leading the BCCI right now. One being Sourav Ganguly, the other one being Jay Shah. Now, let me tell you why this has become a controversy and what's really going on. Effectively, there is a rule now in BCCI after the cleanup happened and was ordered by the Supreme Court as per the Lodha Committee recommendations. The rule says that no BCCI official can have more than 2 consecutive terms. After that, you have to have a cool-off period and then maybe you can return. But you can't have more than 2 back-to-back post terms as a BCCI official. The official can serve for 6 years before the cooling off period, and these 6 years are not necessarily in one post. It can be one post in State Cricket Board and then one at the central level, just as is the case for both Sourav Ganguly and Jay Shah. In fact, to now ensure that they continue, that Sourav Ganguly continues at the helm, the BCCI has gone to the Supreme Court. And the BCCI is saying, let's amend this rule that is going to otherwise force us to find a replacement for Sourav Ganguly, even though he's doing a great job and he should continue. Let's just change the rule. This isn't fair. Why should we be combining what he did at a State Cricket Board level than what he is doing now at the central level? This petition has been filed in Supreme Court, of course, because the changes that were made in BCCI's rule book were as per the Supreme Court's order, basis the Lodha Committee recommendations, which is why they have to go back. Now, who are these two people, Sourav Ganguly and Jay Shah? Why is their extension key here and the key debate here? Because Sourav Ganguly became the Joint Secretary of the Cricket Association of Bengal, first in 2014. Then he became the President of the Cricket Association of Bengal in 2015. And then, of course, in 2019, he became the President of BCCI. Similarly, Jay Shah in 2013 became the Joint Secretary of the Gujarat Cricket Association. And, of course, now in 2019, he was made the Secretary of BCCI. So, effectively, as per the current rules, these two need to go once their term is over. But the BCCI wants them to continue. Now, what is at the heart of this controversy is not just a change of rule, is not just an exception being made either for Sourav Ganguly or for Jay Shah. It's the argument that is being presented. Now, this is a story that has been put out by many. BCCI's argument in its petition actually says any provision which has a direct and an indirect effect of restricting a person with rich and varied experience, whereby they have acquired and strengthened the organizing capacity, finance generating capacity and administrative skills, will be to the detriment of the game. Thereby simply saying that somebody like Sourav Ganguly, who brings about so much experience and wisdom with him and is doing wonders at the helm of the BCCI, if we have to let him go, well, that will be detriment to the game of cricket and would therefore necessarily be against public interest and national interest, as our teams play against teams of all cricket playing countries. So the point of the debate, viewers, is following the current rule book and effectively replacing Sourav Ganguly and Jay Shah against the national interest, against the interest of our country. Does that argument really hold any merit? Is it a valid argument to be presented? That's the question I want to ask. Let's say good evening to the panelists who are joining us right now. I've got Sumansi Raman, sports commentator, Rahul Mehra, a lawyer, joining us this evening, Nikhil Chopra, former Indian cricketer, and Atul Vasal, also a former cricketer, with us this evening. Atul, let's begin with you. Good to have you on the show after a long time. Where do you stand on this debate, Atul?
Well, I can understand, why this is coming out to be. But I think Lodha Committee did a wonderful job. Having said that, the people we've got in the board right now, they are doing a wonderful job, and especially in an atmosphere of crisis. I think if we change them right now. And somebody like Saurav Ganguly, who is, I think, the best man for the job right now, and he has got wonderful traction and future in ICC also. Just to pull him out because of a rule which actually, in spirit, is okay, in letter is okay, in spirit it will then benefit, because the rule was made to get rid of the old archaic system, the way board used to run. But eventually, once the rule has been made, and then the situation is transitional, we have to see the final point that if somebody has invested his experience and got experience at the state level, I mean, what is that experience going to do when you have to sit and cool your heels for a few years again? So I think that experience should benefit the higher level. Like if Saurav Ganguly moves from the BCCI chief to ICC chief, it'll add value to everybody around. If he has to just cool his heels and come back, it is actually defeating the whole purpose. If the purpose of Lodha committee was to get rid of the proxy systems and the kind of power centers, which was the way the board was run, I think we have got rid of that. When we have got what we wanted all along, that a cricketer to helm the board, to lead experience, and got somebody like Saurav Ganguly who's actually just if you remove it, that'll be, I think, 2 steps back.
Okay, Atul Vasan says that, well, while the intention was good, the intention has actually been met. We've managed to, root out whatever the rot was within the administrative system. Now it would be detrimental to lose Saurav Ganguly at this point of time. Rahul Mehra, but does that set the wrong precedent? Today, for an individual, you're saying change the rule because we like this individual, he's doing a good job. Tomorrow, somebody else will also stand up and say, well, the rule's gone, now I can continue forever.
So when was Indian sports about, rules and regulations and not about individuals? Indian sports has suffered the bane of individuals, and it continues to suffer, I'm sorry to say, despite Lodha reforms. And, it's not about Saurav Ganguly. This is piggy-banking on a legend like Saurav Ganguly, because there's nobody else. There's a complete vacuum in BCCI when it comes to credibility. I need not give any names, but just read out the names of all the people who are at the helm of affairs of state cricket associations, and you will find that what kind of rot there is in Indian cricket. So less said the better. BCCI, invokes national interest and national passions when it suits them. And they shun it away, and they say that we are not even Team India. When I filed a case against BCCI in the year 1999-2000, BCCI used to earn a revenue of 8 crores. And I went to court asking for transparency and accountability against BCCI because I thought 8 crores was too much of money. Today, probably they earn $2 to $4 billion. That's the kind of revenues that or income that they have. Now, having said that, just imagine that for, what was the foresight that the judges had? 2 successive Chief Justices of India before the current one had a foresight that BCCI, the moment Lodha reforms are implemented, will come back, will on its own alter the entire nature of the constitution and will defeat the entire reform process. So, the Honorable Supreme Court in 2016 and reiterated in 18 and 19 and now till date, that's the law, that BCCI was never permitted to amend its own constitution. And the laudable reason behind that was because, unfortunately, majority of them are crooks out there who can't see beyond their own pockets, who can't see beyond their interest, who can't see. I'm not saying all of them are like that. There might be some really great people, but do they get the in a democratic society, in a democratic body, you get equal opportunity to occupy the position at the top? Is it possible to occupy a position at the top for an ordinary administrator in cricket who has cricket in his heart, who is well-meaning? Unless and until you mix politics, and dirty politics, I say, of India into a very, heavy concoction of Indian sports administration, nobody, and please mark my words, nobody can come at the helm of cricket. So therefore, what is the objective now? The objective is not national interest. It's all cock and bull story. Let's not fool ourselves out here. Objective is that somehow there are powerful people, and I need not name them, you are intelligent enough. There are powerful people right now who occupy these posts. And therefore, it is important that the powerful people
Okay.
protect the other powerful people through the other powerful people in the courts. So you get the best of your lawyer protecting
Let me
who is
take
actually
that point.
who's not supposed to be protecting individuals, whose interest should be only government interest, is now going to be taking a special permission to actually defend Mr. Ganguly and Mr. Shah. Why? What is so special about these two individuals that the best of lawyers otherwise, Mr. Salves and Mr. Sibbals and others who have been defending BCCI for so long, can't defend? So please read between the lines what's going on right now. And I dare say it's a terrible trend. I dare say that, it's a writing on the wall what's going to happen. And I dare say the only people who are going to be shortchanged are the cricket viewing citizens.
Are we okay? So the point that Rahul Mehra is making is that we are on our way to undo whatever changes and the good that was brought in with the Lodha recommendations being implemented. Nikhil Chopra, does it sound like a smart move? Use, Sourav Ganguly. Everybody will back him. Everybody appreciates what he's done. Everybody acknowledges his experience and his wisdom. Use this as an opportunity to make the changes that could benefit many others later on as well.
To be honest, I don't, see Sourav Ganguly being used and that his shoulder being used to fire the weapon. When Mr. Lodha made those recommendations, I was questioning those recommendations at that moment in time. Because number one, he came out with a suggestion that you should have only 3 selectors. Now, when you have 27 states, now those number of states have increased with the Northeast states playing as well. You will have 3 selectors covering the entire country to watch matches and to try and pick a team. Second, in terms of state administration, let's leave Sourav Ganguly aside at this moment in time. Somebody who does well, what Atul was saying also, in state administration does well, with his experience, goes on to try and run the Indian cricket. You're like saying that somebody plays Ranji Trophy for 4 years and then he cannot play for India in the next 3 years. The total number of years that he can play for India is 6 years. I mean, for years we've been saying that we want an ex-cricketer to be at the helm of things, looking to call shots, in terms of cricketing. In 1998, Rahul Bhai was saying that we were making about 8 crores. Earlier than that, we were making less money. The sport has grown in popularity. It's, if they're making money, then the cricket by itself, who's helped them? People like Sourav Ganguly, when they played, Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid, Anil Kumble, Divyas Lakshman. Now, if they want to get into administration through their state associations, why not? Anil Kumble also came into state administration at that moment in time, whether he wanted to continue or not continue. I know that in the South, there are other players who are coming through the ranks, coming to Karnataka Cricket Association, ran things. They have a beautiful center where Karnataka Cricket Association has been able to, start another nursery about 35 kilometers outside Bangalore, where all the youngsters, the wickets are state-of-the-art facilities. That's why you've seen Karnataka cricket grow. Now, it's unfortunate that some of the other states might not follow. But if you look at the blueprint at large, Sourav Ganguly, what he's been able to do with the NCA coming through, the calling of the shots, he's been India's most successful captain in the history prior to Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So give him another opportunity, somebody who's been there, within less than a year, we ask him to get away. It's only been put up to the Supreme Court. Whether they agree or not, we are only speculating at that moment in time. That verdict has not come through. We don't know what's going to happen, but I, on a personal note, would want this regime to continue because they're doing good for the game of cricket.
Can I just ask one question to Nikhil?
No, sure.
Nikhil, how is Indian cricket going to not benefit if Sourav Ganguly for a tenure of 3 years is just steps aside and comes back for another 3 years or 6 years or 18 years? I mean, in all, you can be there for 18 years.
Sure. I'll tell you, Rahul.
Just a sec. Just allow me to complete. So this argument on its very face is a bogus argument for the reason that nobody is saying a person like Sourav Ganguly should not be there. All we are expecting is that least of all, Sourav Ganguly will allow himself, being a legend, to be used by others as a pawn to achieve their games and their larger goals. That's what I'm saying. Number 2, all the arguments that you've taken, each and every single argument, right from the beginning till the end, has been demolished by the Honorable Supreme Court in 2 judgments. So I don't think it bestows well for you, Nikhil, for today picking up the same argument, and for BCCI, it's kind of a review of the 2 judgments. Now you can't file a review.
Okay, so let me say this.
Hold on, Rahul.
Let me say this, Rahul Mehra. I'm sure everybody is entitled to their views about... 1 minute, please. Yes.
No,
I'm sure irrespective of the Supreme Court's judgment, everybody is entitled to their views. Now, this is not the Supreme Court. Neither are any of us lawyers or judges here. So, we'll let that be. But to the first point, maybe, Nikhil, you want to respond? And then I will bring in Sumantsi Raman. Yes.
No, you see, for an athlete, every single year is very important. Now you talk about what if Sourav Ganguly steps aside and comes back after 3 years. Don't forget, we've got the 2021 World Cup coming in T20 as well. You know, somebody who's doing a good job, you don't want him to step aside and then somebody else takes over, and then you want Sourav Ganguly or his entire team to start afresh. I mean,
Nikhil, we've had many World Cups without Sourav Ganguly, and we'll have many more without him.
Absolutely, without a doubt. You know, who knows? Maybe somebody else comes and does a better job than Sourav Ganguly. 3 years down the line, maybe, you know, we look at maybe Sachin Tendulkar coming through or Sunny Bhai coming through the ranks and looking to run things. I've always felt that why not? If it's a sporting icon, why not let him to take a decision?
But Nikhil, ethically and legally, you should circumvent the system.
You know, unfortunately,
legally, Rahul, hang on a minute. Our 4th panelist hasn't spoken yet. And you know, let's just listen into Sumantsi Raman's view as well. Mr. Sumantsi Raman, in the interests of public and the nation, should we do away with this rule so Sourav Ganguly and Jay Shah can continue?
Look, 2 things, Tanvi. First, why this is a completely baseless kind of an argument is apparent from the fact that the day he took office, he knew fully well that he had just 10 months. I remember being on a debate on Times Now and saying on that day, there is no way he would have agreed unless there was some kind of an assurance given to him that the BCCI would go back to the court and ask for a scrapping of this rule. That itself...
is there anything wrong?
Yes,
1 minute, sir.
Wrong in just going and asking for a review. What is wrong in that? I'm just, you know, I can't understand. I mean, Rahul bhai, I'm sure there are so many times that you're not happy with any particular court order, no disrespect to anything, but you go for review as well.
But then you're right, Nikhil. Go for a review.
Okay, may I just say this, gentlemen? 1 minute, please. May I just say this, gentlemen? Those who are on a Skype connection, their voice will automatically go off if somebody interrupts. So I'll just request you all to let the other person finish and I'll come back to you. Let Suman make his point and then I'll come back to you on what you're raising. Yes.
I have 2 issues. First, the manner in which Sourav Ganguly came in itself, you know, raised eyebrows, because I don't know, many of you will recall that even agencies had flashed the news that evening of Brijesh Patel having you know, likely to take over as the BCCI chief. And subsequently, 2 hours later, there was a meeting with that Sourav Ganguly had with Mr. Amit Shah. And subsequently, the announcement comes later in the night. So essentially, it is very clear who calls the shots here. I mean, I know it's great that, you know, the cricketers on the panel believe that he is his own man. But let's face it. I mean, his secretary is essentially who he is. His treasurer is essentially who he is. And most of the state associations have hardly had anything more than cosmetic changes. In Tamil Nadu, Mr. Srinivasan brought his daughter and made her the boss. So I think that this is a farce, that he is actually saying that there has been some dramatic change and the BCCI has been completely cleansed and is purer than the Ganges. I mean, what a joke is this? This is making a mockery of this, of not just, it's making a mockery of the Supreme Court order. You know, saying, look, to say that the court has not applied its mind to something, they have spent months and months with this Lodha Committee report, to the extent of people questioning why is the Supreme Court spending so much time on cricket. And after that, they have come up with a judgment. And here we are going and saying that, you know, we should change. one of the reasons, this is not about Sourav Ganguly. I'm a huge fan of Sourav Ganguly as a cricketer. But the game is bigger than any individual, whether it is Sourav Ganguly or Sachin Tendulkar or Mahendra Singh Dhoni or anybody. The game is bigger. It has to be run professionally.
Okay.
And these committee recommendations were to introduce accountability and professionalism to the extent possible in the BCCI. To claim national interest after saying that you are not even a national federation is a bit, to say the very least.
Yes. Yes, the argument that was made that this is a private institution and not even a national federation. Okay, point well taken. Yes. Nikhil Chopra, go ahead, please. You wanted to make a point.
I just wanted to make a point to Suman sir that I don't know how well he knows Sourav, but I have had the honor of playing under him. Make no mistake, he is his own man. He cannot be a pawn of anybody. When he fought for the players that he believed in, whether it was Virender Sehwag, whether it was Harbhajan Singh, Zaheer Khan, you look at the number of careers that he's been able to go out there and made because he believed in those players. Yuvraj Singh, he's a complete team man. And I'm saying this because I've had the honor of playing under him and I know how he functions. The day anybody says that you're not able to go out there and do justice to the responsibility given to you, he'll raise his hand saying, thank you very much. He'll allow anybody to step in. Somebody who's good enough, please go ahead and go out and do the job. But as long as he believes he can do or fulfill his responsibility to the best, he will fight and he should fight for that post.
Okay. But aren't you aware of how he came in?
Okay.
Don't you know the drama that happened?
Nikhil Chopra says he should fight. Suman, let's not get derailed here. Honestly, none of us really are going to sit here and analyze Sourav Ganguly and what he's done or how in the last 10 months that he's been at the helm of affairs. The point is simple. Here is my question to you all, and I will reiterate it. For one individual that we feel can do wonders, is doing a good job, should continue, can we really change the rules? Atul Vasan, I'm coming back to you on that. Because it's not just about Sourav Ganguly, it's also about who comes along. In this case, it can be the Jai Shah. In a year later or 2 years later, it can be any other administrator in any other post, and the same arguments can be made. Are we not then going to open this dam where for every single thing that we don't like, we go back to the court and keep dropping the rules that were meant for a larger cleanup?
Next President Nikhil Chopra.
It's a fair comment. And to be fair to Nikhil, we should not burden this debate by reiterating what Ganguly has done. We're just burdening the debate and saying the things obvious. We all know what he's done. We all know what he brings. So the debate here is, you're right. If you take it literally, what is going on is not in the spirit why this thing was brought on. But at that point, when Lodha committee was giving all these recommendations, board had to go back to the court a lot of time because there were a lot of things which were there in committee's decision which were not fair. And I can give you 3-4 examples. Conflict of interest had a lot of issues where in the eyes of natural laws of justice, to be fair to everybody, they were wrong. But I think that time the cricketers or the cricket's consensus was not taken, and now the rules were made. It is everybody's right to go back and try to reiterate it. I'm not saying that after Sourav Ganguly, there won't be somebody who can do a better job. But at this time of crisis, due to COVID, due to IPL, due to World Cup getting postponed, something has started. And bring somebody now might be just 2 steps back. I think we should allow continuity. And Sourav can always come back. But one point is sure, the courts should also be able to ratify some decisions which were not fair, because somebody investing time in the state association, doing well, trying to progress to the next level, but you cannot because of this rule. So this rule was at any point malified in my eyes earlier on, and if it can be changed, why not?
So,
Rahul Mehra wants to make a point. Yes.
Yeah. See, I think we are just losing track of what the real issues are. First of all, the first and the foremost thing is there are 2 judgments of the Honorable Supreme Court. None less than the 2 former Chief Justices of India have spent time on this. Number 2, right from 2013, when the match-fixing scandal erupted and in the IPL there was so much of murkiness and all that, after that there was a Mudgil report which came in. Thereafter, from the Mudgil report, the Honorable Supreme Court, had Justice Lodha, the former justice of the Supreme Court of India, to look into this entire issue. Numerous, more than 100 people were interviewed by them across the spectrum. So to say that some knee-jerk reaction was taken is absolutely fallacious. Then, after that, there is a 2016 judgment after hearing all the parties, including BCCI, the top guns. You know how much BCCI has spent on lawyers in the last few years? Probably more than 100 crores if you look into their balance sheets. That's the kind of money they have invested in legal terms on the top legal guns of India. And to say that they were not represented, to say that their arguments were not taken into account, to say that principles of natural justice were defeated, to say that, all of this was thrown to the winds and somebody sitting at a higher pedestal in some bench without any basis came up with some judgment which is absolutely wrong on the face of it, and it actually hampers the national interest and the players' interest. You have to keep all of this in mind. And why do we also lose sight of the fact that there is a certain manner and process in which legally you can proceed? Why don't you file a review? Why don't you file a curative? That is your legal right, not these back channel, applications where you go and circumvent the entire system. You reinvent the wheel when the judgment is against you.
But they're not
Please, by all means,
they're still going back to the Supreme Court.
No, they can go back to the Supreme Court. But why is Saurav Ganguly, again, I'm saying, allowing himself to be used by people who are having vested interest in continuing in their office? He should not. Like he always used to play with a straight bat, and many a times, he's the most graceful left-hander. He should show grace when he's an administrator. Let's not confuse a player Saurav Ganguly with an administrator Saurav Ganguly. These are two different beings altogether. An administrator only looks into the politics of it. A player looks into the team and national interest of the game. These are two different worlds altogether. So let's not mix a Saurav Ganguly as a player with a Saurav Ganguly as an administrator. Out here, his job is to occupy the post and continue in the post like any politician does. And that's what his job is. And I very well say that he's doing a fantastic job of that.
So, Tanvi,
okay, let me now separate this issue into... Yes.
No,
yes, go
I
ahead,
have
please.
only one very quick point. Look, if this rule is allowed to be changed, then it's not only Saurav Ganguly who's going to continue. There are others too who will continue.
Correct.
And look, that may actually be the reason for propping up Saurav Ganguly, because it's going to be a lot more difficult for anybody to say Saurav Ganguly should not continue than to say certain others should not continue.
Correct.
That's the whole thing. So he is clearly being used.
Yes.
I mean, if anybody can't see that.
That's the question that I raised.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this, Sumant. I was going to ask you this question. Let's keep Jay Shah and Saurav Ganguly aside for a minute. Let's just talk about this rule. And in the interest of the game, let's just ask this question. Is it all right? Is there merit to relooking at this rule? What's the point if you have a great administrator tomorrow or a treasurer or any other secretary, but that person is not able to do justice because they only get 10 months at the job?
No, the point is, on the day you took office, you knew you had only 10 months of the job. Now, I would be totally sympathetic if, let us say, the judgment had come once he had already taken up the post, assuming it to be a full term, and suddenly he was told he had only 10 months to continue. The day he assumed office, in fact, this was the debate topic. Why is Saurav Ganguly taking up a post which is going to last hardly for 10 months? So this was very well known right at the start. And look, at the end of the day, you have to realize that he should be the one who should be setting the example. If he steps down and says, look, I don't want an extension, and in fact, I would believe that would actually raise his stature even higher, and it would make it extremely difficult for him to be used as a prop by the others, for them to get their own extensions.
That's right.
Sir, to be honest, Sumant sir, he's asking the BCCI on behalf of Saurav Ganguly or vice versa the other way. He's put in a request to the Supreme Court. Whatever decision comes, I mean, why are we jumping the gun or speculating that everything's already been done? If, he says that he's not allowed, then he'll accept that. What's the big issue? It's not that. It's not that he's already.
He's got to, right? I mean, if the Supreme Court says you can't continue, then he's obviously got to step down, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So he's asking. So he's putting that review in any case, right? Or the BCCI has done it. So why should he say that? Okay, fine, 10 months.
So
no, I'm sorry to ask this one question. One minute, Rahul. 1 second. I want to ask one question to both Nikhil and Atul. Look, we've all spoken about the great job that Sourav Ganguly has been doing in the last 10 months. But one thing that one would have expected, I mean, beyond everything else, is also making the BCCI accountable. And towards that end, I don't know. I mean, maybe there is something. For instance, one of the things that has been spoken about for long is bringing it under the RTI, making it more accountable, and allowing its accounts to be seen publicly. I haven't seen too much of action. I may have missed something, but I haven't seen too much of action on those.
Sir, as per my knowledge, Suman sir, every payment that is made more than 25 lakhs, it is on the BCCI website. And I think Rahul Bhai will also confirm, or to my knowledge, that was also one of the Lodha recommendations and that we're doing. In terms of RTI as a selection, it gets very difficult because, two batsmen get 1,000 runs. Why would you pick one from the other? It's what position that batsman is going to be playing at. It gets a little difficult in terms of selection matters. But in terms of other accountability, what my understanding is and what I know of is every payment made more than 25 lakhs is on the BCCI website.
So Nikhil, just one, just a short answer to your question, earlier one, to your statement.
Can I just...
See, nobody is saying Sourav Ganguly should not go back to the court, BCCI should not go back to the court. What we are saying is respect the law of the land. You are not respecting the law of the land because as the law stands today, whether you like it or you don't like it, you had to demit office last month. Why are you holding position? It shows that probably your understanding is that you don't need to demit office because probably something will happen. So therefore, if you are a person who follows the spirit and also the letter of law, the letter of law today is you have to demit office after 10 months because his 6 years are over. Period. Why are you abusing and milking the system? Because the powers that be are with you. And probably that is the understanding that he has, that he is not going to demit office and therefore he can make money. What do you have to say on that?
You're right.
Why
So I have a question. Rahul, I have a question.
Rahul bhai, if I may,
I have a question. I know a lot of cricket is not being played right now. 1 minute. I don't want to speculate. We don't know what's going to happen in Supreme Court, and that's not part of the conversation at all. It's not about to speculate to say that, we know what the outcome will be, but we know perhaps Sourav Ganguly knew 10 months ago when he took up this job, the understanding was that the BCCI will take this up and go back to the Supreme Court and see if something can be done after the end of his tenure, which is what is happening right now. All right, that's fair enough.
That's exactly what I said.
I have a question, Rahul. If the term is over, his tenure, his 6 years are done, his 10 months here are done, who's officially heading the affairs right now, whether it's him or Jai Shah? I know a lot of cricket is not being played, but somebody still needs to be running BCCI.
So according to me, both of them are illegally holding on, unofficially illegally holding on to their post. There's no two way about it. Whether this will be condoned by the Supreme Court, we'll come to know. But obviously, Sourav Ganguly and Jai Shah feel that they can continue in an illegal post for an indefinite period of time. This is what their understanding is, and which is what is discomforting. That why should a legend like Sourav Ganguly allow himself to do and perform illegal acts while he's in office? This is an illegal act by the president and the secretary to continue to occupy a position which Supreme Court of India clearly says you cannot hold after 6 years. Get the law amended.
I think that's
get your constitution amended.
Over the top.
Come back.
Okay.
If I may,
can I say?
These are unprecedented times.
Can I say something?
I completely understand. During this pandemic, wouldn't it be good that
Nikhil Chopra first and then Atul Vasan. Yes.
Legendary figure like Sourav Ganguly is the helm of things. How do you start the domestic structure? I mean, where flights are not functioning, at least we go back to the zone systems. it makes a big difference.
Yeah,
Only an ex-cricketer would try and understand, or an ex-athlete, of how you're going to conduct the first-class matches as well. So for somebody like Saurav Ganguly, he's not, reaping in the benefits of being the BCCI president. He's got 20 other things to do. Trust you me, he is giving his time to make sure that Indian cricket, what was his dream, to go out there and win test matches and be a world-beating test team, not only in India, to go and beat every test-playing nation in their own backyards, beat England, beat South Africa, beat Australia. And that's his dream. That is what he's trying to do.
That period is over. Nikhil, don't mistake it. Don't confuse it. That period of Saurav Ganguly is over now. He can't do that. Now it's for and others to do it.
But at this moment in time, who will take the decision?
Okay.
You mean to say if Saurav Ganguly today is not there, domestic cricket in India will be history? Oh, come on, let's not fool each other here.
Who's not fooling? But
no,
I'm speculating what the whole result is going to come out.
Is there a good equivalent candidate present? I don't know. That will, if I ask that question, it will just start another debate here right now with all four of you. But yes, Atul, you wanted to come in. Go ahead and make your point.
Yeah, but they're not allowing me. Can I say something? If somebody can just give me 2 minutes. I think everybody's right here. What Rahul is saying is right, and Suman also. But what the cricketers feel, and it's right. It is for the betterment of cricket and cricketers that there was a door which was, just opened by the Lodha committee and all that. The cricketers were able to move in. But I think I understand the argument that if this happens again, then we go back to the square one. But these are different times, and we should not actually throw the rule book at this time when we don't have a Rahul Johri.
So I actually wanted to ask you that.
A lot of information. And I thought Rahul Johri said, now GM of
I actually wanted to ask you that. You say these are different times.
Yes, let me finish. So
Atul, you said these are different times. Yes. You said we are out of the woods.
No, because see,
how is it different? I see the same people still circling around, waiting for their opportunity to get back into the system and to get back some power. I don't know how you say the times have changed.
Let me finish. I am just saying because there are two things happening. The CEO, Rahul Johri, was heading the cricket for last so many years. He's out. Sabah Karim has just left. And I think a new incumbent president with the team, if he just leaves after doing 10 months, we are back to square one. So we lose a lot of work which was actually in transition. And, we just got to keep it forward because they were involved in so many things. And especially with the COVID thing, Nikhil put the thing on domestic cricket, yes. But in spite of that, there is the financial matters to be done. There are a lot of old cases against the government also. The IPL is a big issue. And also the point is that the BCCI has got to find a new sponsor. So a lot of things going on. And at this point, if we lose the top 3 posts or 4 posts who have been working on everything for the last few years and last few months, it'll be back to the scope and the new guy will be flying blind. I think there will be a lot of issues because the board is itself in a cusp from the old way of working. They're moving to the new way. And suddenly if we change a lot, then it might be just detrimental to the health of the sport.
No, Tanvi, two quick points. One is the fact that nothing prevented Ganguly from the BCCI, from formally approaching the Supreme Court 2 or 3 months ahead of time, saying that, look, our term is likely to end with this 10 months. We would like to know if we would be permitted to ignore that rule or get rid of that rule or whatever. So there is no need for the term to be over and then continue in office, as Rahul said, without any mandate or without any kind of an official sanction, and then say that we will ask the court whether we can continue. This could have been done 2-3 months earlier. The second very important point is this: at the end of the day, everybody knows that even if Saurav Ganguly was to step aside, the BCCI is not going to get cleansed up. It's only going to be a question of musical chairs. There will be somebody who is out and who's going to be brought in. So it's not that, professional management is going to come and it's going to be, pure as snow. It's just going to be musical chairs. So at least that farce of at least that show could have been kept up, instead of saying that we'll do just what we want and you can lump it if you don't like it, which is essentially. I honestly hope that the Honorable Supreme Court refuses the permission, because the game is bigger than individuals.
Yes, and I just want to put one more fact here. Because we are saying that the change has happened, whatever was the intent, or, has happened. Well, there are still a lot of issues. I'm just going to read a report from August 2nd, just a few days ago, in the Indian Express, that said BCCI's 27 elite contracted players are yet to receive the first of the quarterly installments due since October last year. The board has also not disbursed match fees for the 2 tests, 9 ODIs and 8 T20 games that the national team has played since December 2019. BCCI has not had a chief financial officer since December and chief executive officer and general manager since July 2020. All is not well at the helm of the affairs even now. This is just one example. I can actually give you more. Since October 2018, the BCCI has actually had its case come up in the Supreme Court 33 times. It was heard only 10 of those 33 times. But I believe a lot of time is being wasted by this cricket management board in simply going back and forth to the Supreme Court, instead of making the changes that should have been made a long time ago. Now it's another one. There is merit to the argument being made that in the name of having somebody as wise and experienced as Sourav Ganguly at the helm, there may be people who want to change the rules altogether for the larger benefit of other administrators. And if we start changing the rules, then we go back to square one gradually. Where do you draw the line? You can make an exception maybe for Sourav Ganguly today. Tomorrow it will be somebody else. Then day after another post holder. We cannot be changing our rules or seeking to for a change in rules basis one person. Is the argument that's been made. We have to wait and watch what the Supreme Court has to say when they take up the case and hear BCCI's petition. A big thank you to all 4 panelists. It's been a pleasure having this conversation on with all 4 of you. Let's wait and watch who will be heading BCCI for the coming 2 years. Thank you for joining us. Viewers, welcome back to the Urban Debate here on Mirror Now. Once again, we put the spotlight on the EIA notification 2020. The EIA debate is now picking up pace. Mirror Now was one of the first ones to raise this issue, to inform you about what this notification is and why there are activists who are raising objections, concerned about it, and why the government repeatedly seems extremely hesitant to have a discussion, to have a conversation about it. And today I have another example that again shows the lack of will on the part of the government to follow a fair process, hold a fair conversation with the people before bringing in wide-ranging changes in rules. That too related to our environment. Let's start from the basics. What is EIA 2020 notification? It's a notification draft that the government has now put out. It seeks to bring in changes to the rules that already exist. Now, environment assessment is done for any large-size project. Before you start that project, you do an impact assessment. What will be the impact on the environment because of this project? Then you get your necessary environment approvals in place and you move on. These rules are set to be changed, and the government has come up with a new set of regulations for that. These rules are very important because every time there is a big industrial project, infrastructure project, cutting down of mountains, cutting down of forests, taking away people's land for building of infrastructure, an assessment study has to be done about what will be the impact on that area. Now, if we dilute those rules, then there is a danger not just to the community there, but to our environment and to the future of this country, future for our children, if we damage the environment. What are the changes that are highly objectionable that the activists are raising right now? Number one, they say that in the name of strategic projects, you are saying that projects can be exempted from scrutiny. Just because it's a strategic project in the national interest, how can you get rid of the scrutiny that has to be done? They say that this list of exempted projects is way too long and too vague and generic. There is also a problem that in some cases the clause says you can get your permissions later. You can start your project and carry on seeking your environmental clearances and everything else later. You don't need to hold back on your project. Now, that's very, very dangerous, is what the environmentalists and the activists are saying. The provision to operate without the necessary clearances. Think of that. And of course, they say there are still not enough clauses for the protection of the environment. Now, why am I talking about it again? Because you will remember I told you that the High Court actually told the government in June, in the month of June, on 29 June, that you must give people more time to respond. This is a pandemic era. People may not have found out that you have this kind of a proposal. Give them more time to respond. Give agencies, institutions more time to spread awareness. Let people find out, read, understand and respond to you. And hence, at the insistence of the High Court, the deadline for public feedback was extended to 11th of August. That deadline is now over. But along with this order, the High Court had also told the government, our central government, to bring about this notification, publish it in 22 different languages. The idea being that just putting it out in Hindi and English is not going to be enough. Everybody, people who are well versed with regional languages, not so much with English and Hindi, should also read about this, should also know about it. Let them participate in it. And you are supposed to do this within a period of 10 days, said the Delhi High Court in the month of June. This was never done by the government. Why is that? Shouldn't they do it now? Shouldn't they open it up for feedback again? Ask for people to respond again after they publish it in 22 different languages? That's the big question I'm asking this evening. People must know a dialogue must happen before a final decision is made on environmental laws and procedures. Let's say good evening to Anand Arya, an environmentalist joining us this evening, Manpreet Sandhu of the Congress Party, and Gopal Krishna Agarwal, national spokesperson for the BJP. Mr. Agarwal was with me on the last debate as well. Mr. Agarwal, you were given 10 days of time to publish it in 22 languages. It's been almost 2 months, 1.5 months, it's not been done. Why?
So that the government will answer, but the thing is that English and Hindi, everything, the government moves with the procedure. If that is the process with all the laws, I agree that all laws have to be in public domain, and that brings out the better, efficient laws, etc. And there should be left for comment, but it cannot become an endless process. The governance has to be done through government. It is not that their opinion 1 month or more than 1 month is sufficient enough. And all laws, then you can say that every law will have to be published in 22 languages. This is not what is required in our structure of standard operating procedures. So I am not saying if the government want and the public people want, what is so complicated that a person who can comment on such a law cannot read and write in English or Hindi? What is such a complicated issue? So the problem with environmental law in the country and the way is there are certain NGOs and there are certain organizations who just feed on this delaying tactic. The way even not our own government, even the
no,
earlier
but the
government
delay is happening from your end, Mr. Agarwal.
What is the delay? That
there
we
is
have
nobody
not
dealing it right now. I am asking this question. The delay
Why?
is that you've not published it in 22 languages as per the High Court order. You don't want people to know what you're doing.
No, but every law is not being published in 22 languages. All whichever law is coming in the public domain, is this the standard procedure that is followed by the government? It is not compulsory that it is okay.
You should have told the court that. Did you challenge? You should have told the High Court that. But you didn't.
So, no, the issue is that Supreme Court has also today said that we are not saying that we don't want to publish, but making it an issue and making it a compulsion on the government is not called for. The government is not compulsion. There is no compulsion on government that any law it is making, then it has to first go in the public domain, take everybody's opinion. It is our wish. It is the government wish, not only our wish.
But this one is, Mr. Gopal Agarwal, The High Court has asked you to do. Are you going to? Are you telling me that you will not listen to the High Court of this country now? That this government is going to run it on its own.
No, but is this a standard procedure?
So it's a High Court order. How can you defy the order?
No, this is
the standard procedure set aside. This is people went to the court. People went to the court. The court ruled you must inform more people. Publish it in 22 regional languages.
Yes.
How can the government defy the High Court's order for a month and a half?
No. I'm not saying that we want to defy it. But the thing is that government has not published in 22 languages. That's what I'm talking about. High Court order, I don't know what is the government, why it is not done in these 22 languages. That the government will answer. But ultimately, even the Supreme Court has today said that there cannot be any stay on this issue. So one thing I would like to mention here clearly is the government, in the interest of transparency and coming out with a wider consultation and opinion, is putting laws, etc., in the public domain. But there is a process of any law. It has a cabinet scrutiny, then it goes to parliament, then it gets a consent of the President of India. This is the standard procedure. This is required for making any law. But every citizen of India cannot participate into the law making. This cannot be a right like this. This is just a complex issue. If the government has
when you make overarching changes to existing laws that impact our future, our environment, and has to deal with us, the basic process is to hold a conversation. You are taking away the right of public participation by making these changes, and you're not even informing people about it. That just smacks of
so why you are saying that the parliament is redundant?
That the government has in this case.
So your representative
Where is the parliament coming into process? I'm talking about another process. Why are you bringing in the parliament in this, Mr. Gopal Agarwal? Has the parliament stamped this law? It hasn't. Let's not talk about the parliament right now. Please, let's not deviate from what the conversation is. The conversation is this. The Delhi High Court had asked this government to publish this notification in 22 languages so that more people know about it. This government has been totally in defiance of that Delhi High Court order. Now, let me bring in our other panelists as well on this. Let me just bring in our other panelists. Let me go across to Anand Arya. Mr. Arya, does it not give the impression then that the government does not want to have the conversation?
Yeah, exactly. I think that is where the serious problem is. If you cannot comply with the orders of the High Court, irrespective of what the law is, irrespective of what the parliament has done. But the fact is that even the earlier EIA, the current EIA, I would say of 2006, as also the draft EIA, does talk about a process of public participation for a number of projects. You see, you have to invite objections. I mean, that's a part of the law which has already been passed by the parliament. So I do not understand what Mr. Agarwal is talking about. And if you cannot comply, now this point I would like to take further. Now, the government is saying in the draft rules, the draft notification, it says that I can carry on a project without taking prior permission, and I can apply for a post facto basis. Now, the fact is that here is the problem. If the government cannot comply with the orders of the High Court, irrespective of whether there is a law or not, once there is a High Court order or a Supreme Court order, the government is bound to comply with unless and until it is challenged and got a stay on that. So, now if the government cannot comply with the High Court orders, then how do you expect an industrialist who has got a vested interest in making money, and there are all kinds of lobbies, and the whole purpose of the business is to make money. It is the business of the government to ensure development. But the fact is that even in the part of that development, if the private parties are coming in, their only objective, as I have seen in the last 40 years of being in the industry, I find that how would they comply with this regulation? I will carry on with my project, to hell with it, and ultimately somebody will have to give me a post facto approval. Because, okay, now it is a done thing. What can you do? And it is not like just building, an extra floor or 10 other extra floors or in a building. But this is environment. And this environment has got hundreds of different ecosystems. Everywhere there is a different ecosystem, which has existed and developed over thousands of years. And we just destroy and then say, okay, how would you restore it? So this kind of a nonsense of saying that, okay, you have the, not the clearance, but just the permission to do this for any project. Now, so how will this work out? I mean, this will completely destroy the environment, completely destroy. And I have seen the record of the government. Let me just give you another very small example and very quickly, that the wetland rules, which were framed in 2010, were to be implemented by 2011. These were not done. Under the threat of being penalized in 2016, they changed the rules in 2017, where the deadline for notification of wetlands finished in May 2019, and not one single wetland has been notified. So what are we talking about? I would still feel that I would have been very happy if the government had said, okay, we don't care, we will implement, and we will implement it seriously, the 2006 EIA notification, I will be happy. All this is nonsense, what is being talked about by the BJP spokesperson. And what has been, I cannot accept this kind of a draft notification where you do this and we will regularize it. And what is that, 1,000 rupees fine per day? What is 5,000 rupees fine per day for an industrialist? No, it's all nonsense that, okay, you were delayed.
Yes, one of the most problematic points for me is to say you can go ahead with your project and take your permissions later. What does that even mean?
That's the point which
Why are we even allowing this? We already have a problem in this country where projects are running, where permissions have, expired, they've not renewed
this
it,
or checks notice haven't
been done, and then accidents happen and people are killed. And yes, old projects. Do you not know what happened in Visakhapatnam?
These are
in the factory that was running where the clearances were not in place and the operations continued. And operations just went on and on until there was an accident. So I am asking you, why have this for any project? If the government and the government machinery cannot get its act right and give the permissions on time, renew the permissions on time, give the clearances on time, that is not our problem. That doesn't mean that you give a free run to people who are running these projects without any scrutiny. So let me bring in our third panelist who hasn't spoken so far, Mr. Sandhu.
Let me just make one more. Let me make
Mr. Sandhu, let me bring you in here.
Can I say something? The issue is...
Yes, Mr. Arya, you wanted to make one more point? No, then I have to go across to Manpreet Sandhu. Anand Arya, please.
What they're doing through this notification is trying to regularize the 2 office orders which the MOEF had passed for post facto regularization of the environment clearances in a couple of Chennai cases which were struck down by the NGT and the High Courts. This is what they're trying to do through this.
No, it is not. We are not saying that anybody can set up a project now and can get a post facto permission from the government. It is for old stuck-up projects which are running for several years. It is for only regularizing them, penalizing them, and putting up a penal clause so that environmental cost is put on them and taken from them. This is only for that. If you say that this is for anybody, now it is free, nobody requires any environmental permission, he can just set up and later on apply for... It is not like this, the way you are trying to bring it out like this.
No, please read this. This is exactly what the law,
That's
the
how it's
draft
phrased.
notification says. That is what it
No,
says.
it is all minister has
Yes.
clarified that it is.
Correct.
And now we have got.
Please,
we have
please,
got,
that's exactly
we
what
have
the
got-
notification says. I
So,
can
but-
read
but-
out the
but-
exact clause to you. Proposal based on principle of post facto clearance enabling projects to operate with without the environment nod. That's what
This
it
is
is,
what-
Mr. Gopal
So
Agarwal.
this-
Now, let me bring in
the-
Mr. Sandhu,
the
please. Mr.
minister has
Sandhu,
clarified
if
that this is only for
at
all
one point of
projects.
time the government changed. 1 minute, please. Let me go across to Manpreet Sandhu. He hasn't spoken so far. Mr. Sandhu, at one point of time, the government changed the date, preponed the deadline for people to respond. It was only after the High Court intervened that the deadline was actually extended to August. Then the High Court said publish it in multiple languages so more people know about it. That hasn't been done. Is it a case where the government doesn't want to have a conversation with people?
See, that is very clear. The intent of the government and the party, the BJP, is very clearly evident from all their actions since June. And moreover, you can hear my learned friend, the BJP spokesperson, he is trying to put the blame on you people. That, oh, you are making a story out of it. Whereas the world is seeing, the whole country is seeing what their actions are and what their intent is. Environmentally, entire country is in a crisis. The worst crisis to hit India will be this environmental crisis. We have problems in Aravalli, we have problems in RA, we have problems in Gujarat, the coconut plantations, the Goa plantations, everywhere you name it, Raipur, Chhattisgarh, environmental clearances are being, given like as if it's some treat or party going on. Come and take your sweets. And moreover, see the intent of sharing with the people. Forget sharing. They have sent police notices to students who sent their representations or who just mailed some objections to the environment minister. They're sending them UAPA notices. Look at the kind of oppression these people are up to. What they want, I don't know. Seriously, it's a very sad state of affairs. They've started playing with the environment now. And the result is that they've allowed 400 thermal plants to release pollutants as per their wish. And because of that, this is in 2014 or 15, I think, if I'm not wrong. And by 2018,
yes,
15 out of the worst 20 polluted cities of the world, 15 are from India. These are the results which are, which are in the offing. We have to be prepared for that because the government has no
keep
intent.
them on your chest because you followed the policies of environmental protection. This is the state of affair of our environment. Rivers like Ganga, Yamuna and other places. So it was 60 years you have played with the environment and now you just... what is this? What is to complete? You are put... This is not for this environmental problem which you are quoting here are not created by 2014. These are all you are done. You remember Manmohan Singh talking about Greenpeace? What he was told about them? They will never let... So we want economic development.
Why are you concealing things from the public of this
Nobody.
country?
We want economic development.
Why are you having a bad intention in publishing this?
And you are assuming...
The problem with that, Gopal Agarwal,
the problem
Mr.
with
Gopal Agarwal, how
activists
many more terms at the center do you need to stop blaming the Congress for everything?
No, who is blaming?
This is the second tenure for you.
Ma'am,
Congress got kicked out. Congress got kicked out of the center for the policy paralysis, including the lack of movement on environmental clearances. Do I need to remind you that one of the biggest problems with projects during UPA 2's tenure was environmental clearance delay? But that doesn't mean that you go right on the opposite side, swing to the extreme end and start giving clearances without looking at anything.
Mr. Sandhu is blaming all his mistakes to us. He's saying that these are environmental problems are created by BJP. Where is the, we have created which project which is creating problem in environment? Give
Which
us
one of the examples he gave you, Mr. Agarwal, is from UPA?
He's saying,
he's giving you examples of what is happening in this current government's term.
Who set up this thermal project, 60 thermal project? Where is the problem of environment? Why you gave permission?
Pollute?
And this Visakhapatnam, and you set up Visakhapatnam project. Why didn't you take first permission? So you are wanting to blame others and trying to take credit. Why you are not answering about Manmohan?
My dear, I'm not blaming you. At least forget everything. At least share the draft notification with the people of this country.
Shared.
The people of this country.
Has been shared.
You owe something to this country. You owe something to the children of this country, the next generation.
And you want to say that the businessmen, industrialists are if and only activists are good. You are saying all businessmen, industrialists. We are not working on this mindset. We know that industrialists and economic, the businessmen are also contributing a lot to the development. They are also honest.
The notification. What's the harm in that?
This is the way you are
trying to bulldoze everybody.
You have
want to go
same way income tax, every law you have made everything like that.
1 minute, gentlemen. I can't hear anybody. 1 minute, gentlemen, I can't hear either of you if you talk over each other. And Mr. Sandhu, what's the point in you crying hoarse so much now and outshouting Mr. Gopal Agarwal when the deadline is also ended? Your party woke up to it only in the last 10 days before the deadline ended. You didn't even realize what was going on for the first few months.
And has Congress given any comments on it? It is now still, we have received 17 lakh comments. They will be analyzed.
There is a High Court order. You don't want to comply with that also.
No, who is not come? NEERI has been set up to look into every objection. The NEERI will look into.
Against you. The High Court is going in contempt against you. You run to the Supreme Court to take a stay order. And then
but I'm asking you, have you given any written comments on the policy?
There were lakhs of children who sent mails.
So they will be taken into consideration.
Notices under UAPA? Come on, have a heart here.
That was withdrawn.
UAPA.
Okay, let me. I don't want this to be a BJP versus Congress thing. This is a larger issue. They are dealing with the future of this country and the environment in this country. Last word before I wrap this up to Mr. Anand Arya. Mr. Arya, do you believe, in the light of the fact that the government did not publish this information in 22 languages as per the High Court orders, that the deadline, though it's now gone by, the government should open it up again for more feedback and comply with the orders?
Yes, of course. I mean, they need to comply with the orders of the High Court, and otherwise go to the Supreme Court and have it changed. Have another order from Supreme Court if they agree. But the problem here is that this government has absolutely, I have been in this business, I have been trying to protect the environment for the last 20 years. I've been very active in this. I see complete apathy on the government. You did this, I did this, and Congress is saying BJP and this thing. I mean, look at it. Today, the whole country is suffering from the impact of climate change. There are very heavy rains, concentrated rains, not the good old days, when you had the full monsoon beginning from June to September. You have extreme temperatures. You have both high and low. All kinds of things are happening, and not one word of climate change in this notification. I think this is only being done to pass on the responsibility. They just chalo fatafat apna 1 minute ke andar apna na inko approval do and let the business go on. You see, environment is the most critical thing in this whole growth. You have no environment, you have no ecosystem, I can tell you all your industries and everything else will collapse. So government needs to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, look at what's happening in many parts of our country today, where we've ignored the environment, Mr. Arya, and now we are having to pay the price with constant floods, repeated floods and other kinds of disasters that are taking place, landslides, floods. It's become a recurring problem, annual problem in Kerala. And only for that one reason that we went around chopping our mountains without thinking twice about the long-term impact. Governments of the day have to realize their vision cannot be just immediate 5 years. It has to be a long-term vision of what you're doing to this country. And the impact is going to have on the environment, on the people in the long term. That's what good governance is about. A vision for the long term, not just to say, 4 प्रोजेक्ट हमने इस साल बड़े वाले कर लिए, 500 करोड़, 1000 करोड़, 2000 करोड़ का हमने अप्रूवल दे दिया. That's not really good governance if you don't keep the larger picture in mind. I believe that the government should by itself, without the courts having to intervene, follow the order, publish this notification in 22 languages, spread the word, let people know, let people respond before any significant changes are made to the environment impact assessment notification. This has to do with the people. You cannot shun them out. And the government should reopen it up for feedback. The deadline may have ended, but since you didn't follow the rules and the order of the Delhi High Court, it's on you now, the government, to make amends. Thank you for joining us on this conversation. And before we wrap up, viewers, let me remind you, tomorrow is Independence Day, but it also marks 2 full months since the clash happened in the Galwan Valley between the Indian troops and the Chinese troops. We lost 20 of our brave soldiers along the line of actual control. This Independence Day, Times Network is proud to produce and put together a special documentary. It's called The Gallantry at Galwan, A Tale of Valor, as a tribute to the martyrs of Galwan who made the ultimate sacrifice. So don't forget to tune in tomorrow at 1 p.m. on Times Now, Mirror Now and Times Now World.